You lean forward. Why? The restaurant was silent. Surfaces too glossy. The kind of clean that costs money to maintain. Candles flickered, reflecting in crystal glasses. Your palms sweat. Your pupils dilate. Every sense is alert. A man in a tailored suit slides a briefcase across the table. Adrenaline surges through your veins. Nowhere to go. Your amygdala registers threat. Your prefrontal cortex collects thrill like currency. Your heart rate spikes to 110. But you're safe. That gap between arousal and safety is pure dopamine. This is the thrill of cognitive dissonance. Cut to black. The scene ends, but your body hasn't caught up yet. And here's the paradox. You're terrified, yet you want more. Mafia stories pull at something ancient and hidden, offering risk without consequence, control without responsibility, power without cost. They tempt you with danger, and yet you remain perfectly secure. Be honest with yourself. Why do you root for the monster who's making your palms sweat? You're not just watching crime. You're dosing on adrenaline your body didn't earn. And you'll come back tomorrow for another hit. You've been initiated. You just didn't notice. Since childhood, you've been practicing the code of secrecy and loyalty. The favors you returned quietly, the secrets you protected in middle school, the grudges you nursed. That training never stopped. Now watch the Mafia. Omerta, the vow of silence, is the same code, formalized in blood. Picture a man witnessing his brother's murder. Police ask what he knows. He says nothing and faces prison for perjury. That silence isn't neutral. It's both armor and chains. The group survives. The individual suffocates under anxiety, hypervigilance, and guilt no one acknowledges. Omerta guarantees loyalty while extracting mental freedom as payment. Then there's vendetta. Your revenge is slow. A coworker steals credit. HR schedules a meeting in 3 weeks. In Mafia films, betrayal is answered in minutes. That immediate consequence is intoxicating because your brain craves control. Mafia films deliver it safely. Thrill without danger. Admiration laced with terror. Dopamine from consequence without risk. Every glance across a crowded room is vocabulary in their world. In yours, it's just people looking around. Mirror neurons fire. You're not just observing loyalty. You're remembering your own practices. Recognition isn't admiration. Yet you respect their code more than society's laws. Why? The favors you're owed. The grudges you're nursing. The lies you're protecting. It's evolutionary insurance. Just written in blood instead of social contracts. This entire system, terrifying as it is, offers one thing modern life never will. Total certainty. And that certainty is the ultimate psychological lure. Test it tonight. Watch any Mafia scene and pause when someone keeps a secret. If you feel proud, even for a second, the code already owns you. You've been craving control your whole life. Your nervous system is wired to seek predictable outcomes. Uncertainty triggers cortisol. Certainty triggers dopamine. But modern life inverts this. You submit resumes, wait for callbacks, hope for promotions. You act, then you wait. Frustrating, chaotic, unsatisfying. Then you watch the Mafia, and everything changes. Suddenly, every action carries weight. Every glance is meaningful. Every word a command. Mirror neurons fire. The same circuits that light up when you're the one in control. You're not passively watching. You're mentally rehearsing control. Here's what that looks like. Michael Corleone sits across from Sollozzo in The Godfather. No raised voices. No visible weapons. 2 men, 1 conversation. Then Michael excuses himself to the bathroom. Sollozzo relaxes. Fatal mistake. Michael returns. Shoots twice. Walks out. 90 seconds. Total control. Your heart races. Not because of the violence. Because of the calculation behind it. Watch Sollozzo's face the moment before. He's smiling. Comfortable. He made the oldest mistake in power dynamics. He assumed his opponent was predictable. Michael wasn't. That unpredictability within absolute control, that's the ultimate demonstration of mastery. Your brain catalogs it as instructional. Tiny gestures, precise consequences, immediate results. The Mafia reverses it. Every decision triggers immediate consequence. Internally, you act. Externally, you wait. That's locus of control, and yours is starving for it. Authority through certainty. Power through calculation. You don't watch Mafia films for entertainment. You watch them as tutorials in control you'll never be allowed to use. That hunger for certainty? It's why every Godfather rewatch feels like coming home. You don't just watch Mafia films for control. You watch them for how brutality becomes beauty. The polished suits, the quiet confidence, the shadowed rooms. All of it is meticulously choreographed to make violence elegant. Take the Godfather restaurant scene. Lighting carves the frame into geometry, half shadow, half revelation. Wardrobe adds another layer. A capo adjusts a cufflink before issuing a lethal order. Shoes shine to perfection. Each visual cue signals order, mastery, control. Auditory cues intensify the effect. The pause of a violin, the subtle click of a glass on marble, the silence before strike. These sensory micro-moments condition your nervous system. Chaos framed as choreography triggers dopamine release and anticipation. Beauty hijacks attention, making the violence psychologically palatable. Mirror neurons engage. You mentally rehearse timing, calculation, and execution alongside the on-screen actors. Every composition, every shadow, every visual rhythm reinforces one message. Mastery is beautiful. When your visual cortex processes beauty, composition, lighting, symmetry, your moral reasoning centers receive fewer neural resources. fMRI studies confirm ethical judgment dims when aesthetic processing spikes. Cinema doesn't just romanticize violence. It biologically hijacks your conscience. You know it's propaganda. You know the real Mafia smells like fear and concrete, not mahogany and cigars. You know the suits are costume design, not reality. Yet the next time a perfectly lit scene shows a man in tailored wool delivering justice in 90 seconds, violins swelling, shadows falling just right, you lean forward. The aesthetics won. But why the elaborate staging? Because style is the delivery system for the ultimate myth, the patriarch. The suit and lighting sell a fantasy of absolute, protective family order. That illusion, that someone is truly in charge, safeguarding your inner circle, is pop culture's most enduring, most destructive lie. The best crime stories are never just about crime. The Godfather isn't merely a gangster tale. It's a myth of family as fortress, and of masculinity as the ultimate guarantor of order. Take Don Vito's opening scene. He listens. He nods. One subtle gesture, and the room understands. Obedience is framed as respect, brutality as necessary order. Each glance, half smile, and subtle movement encodes hierarchy, and your mirror neurons fire in recognition. The patriarch doesn't yell. He doesn't act impulsively. He commands without chaos. Here's what the myth never shows. The women. Kay watches Michael become a monster. Connie's husband is executed at Michael's command. Yet the camera rarely lingers on their devastation. It returns to the men, making decisions, calculating next moves. The patriarch protects his family by destroying it. And somehow, you still root for him. Why? Because the myth promises someone is in charge, that chaos has an answer, that authority equals safety, even when it demonstrably does not. Consider Michael's ascension. The baptism scene crosscuts with coordinated assassinations. The ritual, ceremony, religious imagery, all of it packages a seductive lie. That power, violence, and family care can coexist. Coppola taught 3 generations that masculine authority can justify brutality, and you absorbed it as a model of order. The seduction is complete. You know the myth is toxic. But complexity, shared authority, ambiguity, these feel more frightening than elegant brutality. The Godfather taught you to confuse change with embrace. And you believed it. Every time you watch a Mafia film, the pattern repeats. You notice the suits, the lighting, the calculated silences. You feel the pull. The difference between entertainment and indoctrination is whether you notice that pull or surrender to it. Most viewers never ask themselves which they're doing. You just did. That question, that pause, that momentary discomfort, it's the only defense the myth never accounts for. Fascination without reflection is compliance, not appreciation. Surrender. Awareness, your conscious choice, is the only real mastery. The chains of order do not need to be embraced. That awareness breaks the myth's power. Not completely, not forever, but enough. The seduction is complete. You know the myth is toxic. You know real families do not operate this way. That real power corrupts without redemption. But complexity, shared authority, ambiguity, these feel more frightening than elegant brutality. You can watch, learn, and pause. You can let the myth teach, but not enslave. You can admire skill without excusing cruelty. The Godfather taught you to confuse change with embrace. And you believed it. Part of you still does. That's why awareness matters.